I just remember back when I was working the front desk at the Onnit gym, you had this epic jacket that had like the Dragon Ball Z balls, but as kettlebells.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
I just thought of it. I had this friend who designed like custom denim jackets, custom designs. And I was like, man, I want my own design. And I was like, what would I really like? And I immediately thought of Dragon Ball Z. I really love Dragon Ball Z growing up. I always wanted to be jacked like those Super Saiyans, like Goku. And I was like, oh, maybe like a baby Goku or a young Goku holding two kettlebells. And I was like, oh man, what if they're two Dragon Balls? And so I had the artist design Dragon Balls that look like kettlebells, and then it's Goku front racking the kettlebells. And I just thought it'd be a cool idea, and I loved it. Turned out really cool.
Dude, it looked awesome. And so your friend designed that?
Yeah.
Did he like do it onto the denim too?
Yep.
Does he live in Austin? Can I make
No,
some?
she's in like South Texas.
Okay,
El Paso.
okay.
No, West Texas.
Okay.
By the border. El Paso.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely get some of that. I'm wearing my Frieza.
Oh,
Adidas,
that's right.
Adidas for that. This feels like perfect for you between
Yeah.
Adidas and Dragon Ball Z.
I don't know if she's still in business, but I remember the name of her business was Shop Unpop.
Okay.
Like unpopular.
Yeah.
Shop Unpop.
Sick.
So if you want to check her out.
I'll check that out. And RIP to Akira Toriyama, late great Dragon Ball Z creator.
Yeah, R.I.P.
That was a tragedy, man.
Yeah.
Can you briefly introduce yourself?
So Eric Leha, or you might know me as the Primal Swoldier on
go.
Instagram or social media. I'm a coach here in Austin, Texas at the Onnit gym / one of the head coaches there. And I've been there for almost 10 years. We're having our 10-year anniversary in this December. And so, yeah, I'm a coach. I also do online programming, an app, and I teach workshops, certifications. I've done that in the past and looking forward to doing more of that in the future. But kettlebells is my expertise. I love training with kettlebells, keeping things simple. Obviously, I use everything else with my clients, barbells, dumbbells, whatever their goals are, whatever their needs are, I'll incorporate it. But for me personally, I love sticking with kettlebells now that I'm getting back into jiu-jitsu and martial arts and doing other adventurous things outside of the gym. I found that kettlebells have some of the best carryover to building unconventional strength and core strength that helps me really be ready and capable to do hard things out in nature.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I remember the first time I had heard who you were. It was a mention on Joe Rogan's podcast before I even like got to on it.
Oh, really?
Like knew you as a person. Like, oh, that's sick. And like, so you're always this fixture to me. And then I remember we'd be talking like the sauna or whatever. And you had started out working it on it in the warehouse, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So I got my first job at Onnit. I remember I was going to school. I was going to UT and went there for a year before I decided like, man, I hate this place. Like I don't fit in. I can't make any friends. This is not at all what I was expecting. I started partying a little bit and I was trying to make friends that way. But even then I just wasn't able to vibe with anybody at school. And so I actually ended up hanging out with a lot of my brother's friends. My brother's 10 years older than me. And so I hung out with a lot of his friends, and one of his mutual friends was Aubrey Marcus, the former CEO of Onnit, or CEO at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to become friends with Aubrey, and I told him I wasn't really feeling school anymore. And, I really loved the Onnit community. I loved how open-minded they were. I loved all the products. I was super into fitness and MMA, and Aubrey was a huge MMA fan, sponsored a ton of UFC fighters. Joe Rogan got involved right around the same time I was asking for a job, and Aubrey's like, hey, man, well, you can work in the warehouse. There's a spot for you there if you'd like. And I was like, I'll take it. I'll do anything. I don't want to go to school anymore. I'd rather try this out, even if I'm working in the warehouse, making minimum wage, packing kettlebells and taping up the mail, sending off the mail to customers. I'd rather be part of a movement that, even then I knew like, this is what I want to be. This is where I want to be. This is who I want to be surrounded by, because everybody was super cool, super into all kinds of, out there things like psychedelics, unconventional training, and just being more open-minded to different things in the world than what I was used to. And so I was happy to work in the warehouse because I was surrounded by such cool people.
Yeah, I remember hearing like kind of your story around that, and that was really inspiring to me because I thought a very similar thing. It's like I wasn't really vibing with what I was doing in pharmaceuticals, and I said like take a risk and say like fuck it and go work at the front desk at the Onnit gym.
Yeah.
And to see someone like how much you were able to collaborate and synergistically work with Onnit to build your own brand, build your own movement while doing the stuff that you love. It's like, okay, cool, I can probably figure out something like that as well. And I'm glad that Aubrey was able to foster an environment where like he wasn't going to hold you back from doing your own thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super grateful for that environment, where we're able to, you know, be there working for the company, but also be able to spend time doing our own thing. And we were allowed to and encouraged to explore our own strengths and, ended up being able to create my own business while at the gym. I learned a ton of skills while at the gym. So I worked in the warehouse for about 2.5 years before Aubrey approached my brother. My brother was coaching. We had a small company gym.
Like wasn't like inside the warehouse or something?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like connected to the warehouse, and it was the former On It like company gym just for employees. And my brother he was good friends with Aubrey. I was like, hey, why don't you just come train your clients? Because my brother was a trainer at the time, still is obviously. But my brother was coaching people. I think he was working mostly at Gold's Gym or at our garage at the time. But Aubrey's like, hey, why don't you just come coach your clients out of the company gym to kind of spice up the vibe at On It? Aubrey likes to be surrounded by fit people and wanted to bring some vibes in there. And so my brother brought his clients in there. The vibe immediately turned up, and we saw how fun it was. That eventually Aubrey was like, hey, like, we sell kettlebells, we're selling battle ropes, steel maces, steel clubs, all these unconventional tools. How about we open a gym to teach people how to use these tools and use the space to create marketing collateral, marketing material to promote our supplements and our new equipment that we're selling? And so sure enough, he planned to open up the gym, and he asked my brother to be one of the first coaches and approached me to get certified and become one of the first coaches as well. So I took up that opportunity, got my first kettlebell certification. Actually took my kettlebell certification with Aubrey, my brother, and a couple other friends. We had like a little private seminar with Ken Blackburn from the IKFF, this like legendary kettlebell coach. So we got to train with the pro, got trained up really fast. I already was exposed to kettlebells through the MMA training I did growing up. I got to train with some UFC fighters. I wanted to be an MMA fighter for a long time growing up, and I actually did an amateur MMA fight, some kickboxing matches, and a bunch of jiu-jitsu. But getting to train with the pros, I got to see the way that they train for strength and conditioning. It was very unconventional in a lot of ways. They use a lot of kettlebell swings, snatches, in addition to, all the other stuff they were doing. But so that's when I was first exposed to kettlebells, but then finally getting that certification kind of put all the pieces together, gave me a really strong foundation. And immediately I started training family members for free, started picking up a couple clients, and then we opened up the gym, started teaching a bunch of classes, and got a lot of experience really fast. I'm very grateful for the trajectory that I had in the first couple of years that the gym was open. We had our chief of fitness, John Wolf, and Shane Hines, who were from, I think from California, but they came with a ton of experience in the unconventional world, and they brought all their knowledge over to On It and created a certification where they taught me even more of the foundations of fitness and a holistic approach to training, a lot of mobility, like focusing on longevity instead of just pure performance while sacrificing, possibly getting injured. I'm really thinking about recovery. And so with their mindset, they also had invited a bunch of their fellow coaches and experts in the industry from like the top, like physical therapists who had their own certs that they were coaching fitness professionals through to teach methodology to be able to work with clients, to other kettlebell experts and all kinds of experts in fitness that I felt like we were doing a certification almost every weekend for the first 2 years of the first 2 years of me being a coach. And so I learned a lot really fast from some of the best in the industry. So I got a lot of experience because I was able to apply what I was learning with my clients in the gym. And so I'm very grateful to have been able to learn from some of the top people in the industry. But yeah, fast track forward after that, I was asked to be one of the assistant coaches in the On It kettlebell certifications that John and Shane developed. And so I took up that opportunity and got a ton of reps, getting to work with hundreds of people around the country, teaching certifications. And eventually I was able to start coaching my own workshops and certifications, workshops mostly for my own personal brand and business. But yeah, that all came through from, like you said, having that environment where we were able to promote ourselves to be able to promote the gym as well and on it, we were highly encouraged to get onto social media and promote ourselves. I remember I was, my first year being a coach, and I was just kind of doing things off referrals, getting friends and family to come to the gym. But eventually, like, hey, like, we need you to start being more active on social media and get on Instagram and promote yourself and post
Mm,
things up. And I was like, man, I don't want to be on, like, I had an Instagram, but I think I had like hardly posted anything. And they're like, no, you need to get on there to promote yourself. Like, man, I don't want to get on there, post selfies all the time and,
yeah.
show off. But they were like, no, you have to get on there to promote yourself and so people can see what you're up to. And so I was like, all right, I'll do it. And I was like, what's the silliest thing that I can think of? Just trying to be, silly. And I was like, well, we're like very into Primal right now. We're selling these Primal kettlebells, something with Primal in it. And then I was like, man, and like, that's kind of funny. That's cool. And I was like, but then what do I really look up to and what do I really like? Like, I like being in shape. I like looking good. I like being swole. But also, who do I really look up to? And I was like, definitely like military, law enforcement, like soldiers, those like, or even like 300, like people who go to war. I really respect people who are able to have the discipline and the grit to be able to go do something so scary and so challenging for their country and to sacrifice, make the ultimate sacrifice to serve. And so I was like, something. How about Swoldier? Just kind of being silly, a play on words. And I remember walking into the marketing team's room and I was like, hey guys, what do you guys think about my Instagram name? Primal Swoldier. And they all started cracking up. So I
Yeah.
just kind of went with it being silly and it kind of just stuck.
Hmm.
And people nowadays, everybody calls me Primal or Primal Soldier.
Yeah.
But that's my Instagram handle.
It's really funny because when I think about the two channels early days of On It that did super well, so for like supplements, Alpha Brain, it was like podcasting and Joe.
Yeah.
And then, but when I think about for the actual equipment, because they were so visually interesting, I feel like it had to do with like Instagram and like what you were posting and like, and the workouts. And that also like kind of fed into each other. So it's fun to hear the birth of Primal Soldier. What was the growth like for you in Instagram in the early days?
It was pretty steady. I remember, I think it took me like a couple years to get to, or no, like a year, 2 years to get to like, no, maybe like 2 years to get to like 7,000 followers.
Hmm.
And then I think I posted up this like cool kettlebell workout. I remember it was bulletproof back workout. It was like kettlebell swings with scapula pull-ups and like scapula push-ups. And I remember I was on my way to a jiu-jitsu tournament with the guys and we're driving and then Aubrey's texting me to say, hey man, is your Instagram blowing up right now? I'm like, actually, yeah, it is. This is before I knew how to shut off notifications.
Oh
My
yeah.
phone was like blowing up with notifications. I was like, so and so followed you. Like I had like hundreds of them coming through. And he's like, yeah, man, check your Instagram. And I got on there and it was Joe Rogan who shared my bulletproof back workout on his Instagram, and that took me from 6,000 to like 12,000 overnight. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. I think it took me like maybe it's 20 by 2017. So it started 2014, 3 years. In 2017, I had about 100,000. And that's when my friend who had experience building websites and actually helped Aubrey with one of his launches with one of his products online. He's like, hey man, I think you would do really well on doing your own product. And so we partnered up. I built out a kettlebell course, kind of taking all the knowledge I had taught in my kettlebell certifications and workshops and put out this online product that did really well, for the first few months during launch. And so that after that, just kind of kept pumping out products and pumping out, social media stuff, and things kind of just kept growing. I think by 2020, I had about 400,000 followers, and then COVID hit. And then right around that time, I was launching an actual app instead of just a website. And I launched that app literally right when the shutdown was happening. And I was posting these at-home kettlebell workouts. And so it was kind of a blessing and a curse. I got super sick. A ton of people in my family got super sick.
Yeah.
But I launched that app just in time and had shot a bunch of content that I was able to kind of just keep pumping stuff out during COVID. Those first few months we were in lockdown,
Hmm.
I literally went from 400,000 followers to like 900 and something thousand followers in a couple of months, just because everybody was at home and just like looking for kettlebell workouts. And I still meet so many people on the streets today. They're like, hey man, you got me through COVID. I've been following you since then. Your kettlebell workouts helped me be able to stay in shape or get in shape, and I was stuck at home, and everybody's super thankful. And so, yeah, COVID kind of was the catalyst that helped me kind of really double in size.
I remember when, it was like early COVID time and everybody's like chatting like it on it, like, oh, do you know anybody who's got sick? Anybody's got sick? And like somebody's like, yeah, Eric got sick. And I was like, oh fuck. But in my mind, it's like, oh, he'll probably be fine. And then I heard it was super rough for you.
I was down for like 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I had fever, like a really bad flu symptoms for 4 weeks. Like thought I was gonna die. I thought I was on my deathbed. And that's the thing, during that time, obviously you would think, oh, he's in shape.
Yeah.
And this is not gonna knock him out. But I was very unhealthy in this period of time because, we're going into shutdown mode, right? And then me and my business partner were like, hey man, this is gonna be the perfect time for us to launch our app, and we just need to bang out as much content as we can. You need to shoot 1,000 videos so we can get them on the app, have these videos ready. And so I just busted my ass off. I worked really hard, nonstop. I wasn't sleeping much. I was trying to stay super shredded. Like I wasn't eating very healthy. I was just trying to stay below 8% body fat.
Damn.
To try to get as much like sexy content. And so that took a toll on my body because that is not healthy to maintain that low of a body fat percentage for longer than a weekend. For the guys that compete on stage, you only want to maintain that for that one day. To maintain it for 2 to 3 months was so unhealthy. And so sure enough, when it hit me, I was out for the count.
Yeah.
And that knocked me out for a couple of months. It took me a while to bounce back from that. But that's when I started to realize, like, man, like the way that I'm approaching my fitness and my physical health isn't in line with what I'm preaching to my clients. I'm not practicing what I'm preaching. I'm living a very unhealthy life to try to maintain this image that I've created on social media. And so that's something that I've been having to, try to get better at, is to be okay with not being the most shredded guy on Instagram and not worried so much about the way that I look. Sure, like a lot of people, like I can make better sales by catching people's attention by looking super shredded, but I'm starting to realize that I can get people's attention by just providing more value instead of just looking the part all the time. I can still look fit, look strong, and I can wear a shirt, and I can just teach people and tell them, give them valuable information, coach them through the exercises, through the cues. And that's actually what I've been feeling in the last couple of years, especially as Instagram has gotten so saturated with all these people posting workouts all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of helped me get an edge in the beginning, was I was posting my full workouts. Like, hey, here's a full workout you can do. Not a whole lot of people were doing that because a lot of people had this kind of scarcity mindset where they're like, oh, I don't want to post the whole workout. Like people need to come to the gym and pay me to learn the full routine. I don't want to give away the full thing. And in my mind, I was like, man, I don't care. Like, as long as they like me, they're going to value what I'm giving them for free, and they're going to appreciate that. And eventually they're going to want to reciprocate and pay me for my services. So I wasn't afraid to give out full workouts. And so that was kind of my thing that helped me gain a big audience, because people are like, oh man, this guy's got full workouts, I'm going to follow him. But over the last 5 years, everybody's been doing that. And so it's been hard for me to separate myself from everybody else. And so what I've realized is like, man, like I've kind of gotten stagnant and comfortable just sharing the same type of content, just me working out. It's like, yeah, sure, I can do these workouts. And I've started to see, like, I've kind of started losing followers in the last several years. I'm sure a lot of people have, like, the new algorithm, but I feel like for me in particular, my audience has been starting to shrink. Engagement has been going down because I've just been stuck sharing the same type of stuff. And mentally, in my own, like, I feel like even I've been stuck in my challenge with what I'm doing, and I haven't been pushing myself. And I feel like people can feel that on screen. Yeah. I'm just kind of posting the same stuff over and over again, still things that I'm doing, but it's not where I want to keep going. And so I've been going through this huge transition in the last 6 months. I'm trying to spend less time in the gym, and use the gym to help me keep that strong foundation to be capable to go out and do hard things outside of the gym. I started taking up jujitsu again so I can apply my fitness in a challenging way. I'm going to go on my first bow hunt at the end of this
Fuck
year.
yeah.
I might even sign up for a tactical games competition, where you're shooting guns
Yeah.
and incorporating fitness as well. And then also doing some more fitness races, but that are actually challenging me, not just being in the gym, challenging myself with how much weight I can lift or how shredded I can get, but actually applying my fitness to fitness races and also other things that are part of being a whole human, or in more specifically being a man, being able to be a protector, a provider, and being capable of doing hard shit. And so, but that's also going to kind of come back to how I'm still going to just try to stick to my bread and butter. I'm going to keep sharing workouts, but I think the way I can separate myself going forward is actually getting on there and showing that I'm an expert. I have experience helping people get from point A to point B, and I'm going to give people the tools on how to do it, not just the workout, expecting them to be able to just see what I'm doing and try to copy me, but also give them the technique, the how-to, like, hey, this is how you do a kettlebell clean without hurting your wrist. Here is the benefits of doing a kettlebell swing the way I like to do it. And, just giving a little bit more value and also showing a little bit more personality. For the longest time, I've been kind of hiding behind the screen and just, looking the part, being okay with just, hey, here's the full workout. Here's me doing it. And it's honestly kind of created a lot of imposter syndrome in my life, to where I've started to feel like, man, like I'm not even good at this anymore because I'm not coaching as many people in person. I'm not coaching workshops anymore, and I'm not teaching the skills as much as I was when I first started. And so recently I started taking certifications again and started teaching more clients, teaching more classes, getting in front of people, getting my coaching reps back in, giving me the confidence and giving me that self-worth, to where when I meet somebody on the street, I can accept their love and praise because I am what they look up to. I'm not like, oh, fuck, like this guy is giving me all this love, but like, I don't feel like I deserve it because I haven't been putting in the work. I've been doing it for myself for a long time. During COVID, I was able to just do everything online. And I was just able to just do my own thing, get my own workouts in. I didn't have to work with anybody in person. And I thought I was like, this is dope. I have a cush life.
Yeah.
I can just stay home. I make, money online, and I just got to communicate with people on email or instant messages. And I hardly have to go out and see anybody in person. And slowly I realized, like, dude, I feel lonely. I'm like, I'm not. And I felt like I wasn't an expert anymore because I wasn't working with people, and I missed the community part. And for me, now I'm realizing, like, man, it's all about community. Like, I've also started seeing, like, how the industry is kind of shifting from there's a huge boom in online fitness, Peloton, all these things, they blew up, but now you're starting to see they're going down because everybody's craving that in-person feeling. They want to make friends. They want to be connected. They want that camaraderie with their fellow humans. They don't just want to look at a screen. And so, although I'm going to keep doing my stuff online, so I can reach the people that I can't necessarily reach, I'm also going to try to reach them by traveling to them, teaching workshops, community events in different cities, so just doing what I've been doing in the past, but also adding a more human touch, getting in person in front of people more, because for me, that's a lot more fulfilling. I can make money online. I can be successful online, but it's a lot more fulfilling, and it makes me a lot happier to be in front of people and having that touch point with people.
Yeah. I'm super bullish on live events for sure, especially after like his response to COVID. It's wild though, because I don't think we've really understood what it means to blow up very fast on social media for a specific image and then have to deal with the consequences of like, wait, who am I?
Yeah.
Like, am I just that like shredded dude doing these exercises, or am I like fucking Eric, who's super interesting in all these different areas and have so much stuff going on? And I just don't know if we've like built a psychological framework to help people through that. And when things are going well, like that's fantastic. And even as things go well, and one of the things I've seen a lot of my friends who have made money on the internet or focused on the internet is this, it almost like you become lazy at some level. Not that I would ever describe you as a lazy person, but it's like you don't really think about what got you there. It's just working really well right now. You have a ton of more time freedom, and it's like,
Yeah.
what do I do? And then you do all the things that you want to do, and it's like, well, that's not really that fun, because like we do need to have, responsibility or constraints, I feel like.
Yeah, accountability to the people that are your clients or your customers, and like actually showing up for them in person is a big deal. And even, if you're doing it online, doing just a step more than just providing a video where they watch it themselves, they're alone. But you can do it where you do like group calls once a week. You and this cohort get together and you actually get to talk to the people. But if you're just completely hands off and letting the thing kind of run itself, it can lose that touch, and the customer starts to feel that, and the retention rate is horrible. They'll probably stick with you for a couple months, and then they'll move on to somebody else who they find is a lot more invested in them. And so I have found that I'm trying to be more invested with my clients, and it starts with back home in the gym, being there in person, and I'm slowly going to make my way back to being more active on my app and my online stuff. But for now, dialing it back in, I'm kind of in a constrictive phase. I've switched up my team a little bit and have a different strategy going forward, and just looking forward to switching it up. And things have been hard the last several months, kind of trying to switch things up, but I'm a lot happier putting in the hard work because it's starting to pay off. I'm reaching people in different ways. I'm starting to get even more love and messages from people who are starting to receive the new type of content that I'm producing is actually making a difference. And so it feels good to kind of have start on a clean slate. It's hard financially, it's not as good as it was when I was all online, but it feels a lot better for me. I'm in a better place mentally, and surrounding myself with community that's super supportive, and I'm able to actually be a lot happier day to day.
I love to hear that, man. It is interesting that, if we go back to like your pre-COVID era, like absolutely shredded, 8% body fat. And for some reason, we have this idea that you would be the most fit, super healthy, like your immune system must be super strong, all these ideas. And we have this image of that's what a healthy person looks like. But as you said yourself, like rocking 8% body fat for that long, being that calorie deficient, it was actually making you sick or increased your capacity to get sick.
Yeah.
Why do you think we have this image of that is what health is?
Man, I think it's programming from when we were kids, watching Dragon Ball Z, watching Van Damme and Bloodsport, or, Rambo, or, all the action heroes that we grew up watching, men in particular in our era, are like programmed to think like, hey man, that's what a man looks like. Like for me, I've had this thought recently where I'm like, what is a man? And for me, it's somebody who's a provider, a protector, and I had all these lists of things, and then my mentor was like, yeah, those are all great things, but like also you're a man. So why don't you just describe what you are, and that's perfectly fine. That's what a man is. You don't need to have this ideal. Like Tim Kennedy's one of my idols.
Yeah.
He's a friend of mine, but I look up to the guy and I wish I could be like him. But now I'm realizing I don't have to be exactly like him. I don't have to I can look up to these guys for inspiration and being more disciplined, but I do not need to be a savage to every single level as all these guys that I look up to. I'm perfectly fine. I'm a man myself. And I can just list out the qualities that I'm really good at, have love for that, and then choose to be better and fix other, or like work on different areas. But learning to be comfortable with what I am has been something that's been kind of eye-opening for me in the last several months.
Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. I hope you enjoyed this small taste of the podcast. This is now going into the paid portion, and I hope that you liked what you got and you feel inclined to head to skmp.supercast.com or click the link that's in the description. You can listen to this full episode and many others. And I just want to leave you with an idea that nothing is free. In every single transaction, there is a buyer and a seller. And if you're not paying for something, I would be careful, because you might just be that which is being sold.